The next interview is with Jaques Rupnik from Center of International Studies and Research. And during the plenary over here, you mentioned the EU. You said that we can make a difference and consider the EU. What should the EU do for the Balkan countries, for example, while democratizing?
Well, first of all, it can take some credit of what it has done for the countries of Central Europe. Clearly, the prospect of joining the EU has been a major factor in consolidating democracy in Central Europe. And therefore, in the Balkans, it should follow in similar footsteps, although the context is rather different. And so the idea is, how can the EU help to solve the territorial issues that are on the agenda? Take the Kosovo issue, which is now being negotiated. Well, I believe that you will not complete the territorial questions in the Balkans, in former Yugoslavia in particular, unless you have a clear European prospect for the whole region. In other words, to put it bluntly, you tell to the Serbs, yes, it's very unfortunate, Kosovo is lost for you, but you're gaining something much bigger, much more important for the future, and that is the prospect for the European Union. At the same time, you say to the Albanians in Kosovo, yes, you may be getting independence, but it is not independence of the 19th century type. It is independence under international and particularly EU supervision. That is, you will be joining the European Union together with your Serbian neighbors. You've created a border if Kosovo becomes independent, but it is only to make it irrelevant, to make it open, because you will be both joining together the European Union. So that is European pedagogy for the Balkans, and it's crucially important if democracy is to have a chance there.
Okay, but during the plenary we had a poll over here, and 60% of the people voted that there is a crisis in the Western democracy. Don't you think maybe the Western democracy is a bit delegitimized?
The Western democracies are in crisis or are suffering certain weaknesses, but I would say this has always been the case. There has been periodically signs of weakness of democracy, either because the participation of the people has declined, or because the elites have become too removed and too technocratic, etc., or because there was corruption. So periodically you have had that discussion about Western democracy. Certainly they do not have a mandate to promote democracy, even through violent means, like in Iraq, some people thought they could. So the European Union, as such, has never done anything like that. European Union has a different thing. The greatest threat the European Union can do is not to say, we're going to invade you and make you democratic for better or worse. No, the European Union greatest threat is, we're not going to invade you. We're not going to include you. And non-inclusion into the European Union, that is the biggest threat for a country that is on a periphery. So the hope of being included is the best democratizing leverage that the European Union can exercise on its periphery.
So you think that the Western Europe is still a good example, for example, the Balkanese countries?
It's the best we have. It's a community of countries that has been built after World War II on the elimination of violent conflict, on peaceful cooperation. Secondly, it's a community of democratic countries. The first condition for joining the European Union, the one non-negotiable condition, is democracy. Therefore, you want to join the club, you have to be a democracy, you have to get along with your neighbors, you have to settle territorial and minority issues. Well, that's the best recipe we have for the Balkans.
But did you agree with Mark Leonard, who said that the European Union, or the Europe itself, can tie its hands with invading conflicts in different regions?
Well, that is true. That is, the more involved you get on your periphery in the Balkans, in the Caucasus or elsewhere, you may help to stabilize these regions. But of course, you may also import instability in your own midst. It would be a mistake to include the Balkans in the European Union if you have not solved the territorial issues in Bosnia, in Kosovo, etc. That would be, of course, wrong, because what would you do? You would simply import the instability, the crisis, the nationalist conflicts within the European Union. So, no, the European Union is effective as a tool for change before you get in, and you suppose once you're in to contribute to that democratic endeavor and not undermine it.
Okay. To shortly summarize, which will import which? The Balkans will import democracy, or the European Union will import instability?
Well, I would put it a similar way. Unless Europe is capable of Europeanizing the Balkans, there is a risk of having a Balkanized Europe. In other words, if we were to fail in Kosovo or in Bosnia, this would be a failure for the European Union. It would have repercussions within the European Union. So the Balkan test is the one the European Union cannot afford to fail.
Thank you very much.